the hate, an advocate of truth.
Okay, why'd you call the new album Midnight Geometry?
Well, it's kind of like a play on uh, my name, Shape. Just thinking about I was having a difficult time trying to think of a cohesive title for something with so many different artists on it. It was kind of like all over the place. So the geometry aspect of it just kind of fit in with the allusion to my name, and then spent several weeks trying to think of some way to turn that into a almost poetic sounding thing that was open to some kind of interpretation. So after going through a lot of words to put with it, Midnight just kind of fell on it, kind of gave an aspect of, uh, just a time of, uh, that period in the night where, things are just flowing, winding down, or catching up, depending on, you know, who you are, what you're doing. And it just kind of sounded good. There wasn't it doesn't have like a strong, significant meaning or reference to anything, but that was kind of just where I landed on.
Okay. How long did it take to complete Midnight Geometry with all the features?
Man, I think from conception, start to finish, it was about a 2 year process, um, from just coming up with the idea and then reaching out and getting everybody involved to send things in, and then working. The longest part was just kind of getting the productions to where I wanted to be. They had all started out as really basic beats, kind of like skeletal frameworks that I sent to people. And then I took the time to kind of just build upon those and add samples, take things out. So getting it to the point where I really wanted to be, that took a while. And then just finalizing it, getting it mixed and mastered was probably almost about 2 years. Yeah. One of the longest times I've worked on an album.
Wow. Okay. Duck Liver. That's a smooth song, man. Take me into the production of that one.
Yeah, that one was kind of it was a lot of fun. It was kind of like a little bit of a different sound. It's a little bit more upbeat than things I'd already worked on. Um, Young Daddy, who was kind of took the lead on that one. I worked with her on a few of the songs on the album, and she came over to my house to the studio and laid down a whole bunch of takes. And I kind of started building that around her, took in the chorus, and I knew it kind of had a slightly pop feel. And I reached out to an MC that I had done shows with previously, who was in Brooklyn, which is Haystacks, who has kind of like I felt like kind of like a pop sensibility, kind of worked within the framework of that. And yeah, just after having built on it, um, I got Big Breakfast in there because he was friends with both of them, and I felt like that was a kind of good way to tie it together. It felt like it was missing something towards the end. Um, and he came in and gave a pretty awesome anchor to it. And yeah, I really that was one of my favorite on the album. It's got a kind of different feel to it, kind of like a summertimey kind of vibe. So that one was a lot of fun to work on.
You mentioned Young Daddy, and she's on several of the songs on the album. And her
Yeah,
voice, man, her voice is crazy. Her voice is so ill.
yeah, she's got a really expressive style. It's yeah. Um,
Who is she? I've never heard of her. How did you come up on her, and what's it like working together?
she's wild. She's great. We become good friends through the process. She was kind of the catalyst to me working on the project. So she was in a group called Your Mystery Guest, which was doing shows around the city. It was her and her partner, a girl named Bars, also spitting. And I had known of them tangentially through shows and people that they were working with, but I wasn't really that familiar with them. And it turned out that she had come from the same area in New Jersey that I started making music in. And she was familiar with my first label, which was Division East Records, which was based out of a skate shop in Montclair. So she's a little bit younger than me. So when I was working with them and putting out albums and doing shows, she was younger and coming and watching the shows. And so I didn't even know that, but she reached out to me about wanting to uh, use the Division East uh, brand name is like something that she could use for a project that she wanted to work on. And I talked to her a little bit about that, and we decided that we'd work on a project for her under the Division East name, even though it had been defunct for several years. But it was kind of like a nostalgia kind of like thing that we wanted to work on. And so originally the album started out as I was going to make a mixtape with different producers, different MCs, as kind of like a reminder or a, like just we used to do a lot of mixtapes back in the day. Like the first one we did, we had hosted by Tame One. We had a whole bunch of different artists from New Jersey and the New York area doing songs on it. And then we had the second one, which was hosted by Mr. Len from Company Flow. Same idea. So the idea was to do a similar kind of mixtape to that, and then work on her project afterwards. But I was having trouble getting together with people, getting producers, getting submissions. And because initially I wanted to have like, a whole bunch of different producers, kind of like just showcasing ideas. But in the end, I was looking through my hard drive. I had like several hundred unused beats. And I was like, man, I got enough here to, I don't even need to talk to other producers. I could probably just, put this out with just the beats that I have. And so I started sending them to people, and uh, the verses that came back were just so good and became like the ideas for songs that it just felt like more than the mixtape. So that's when I started putting the steps in to really start producing it and attacking it like it was more of like an album. But so it all started with her idea to kind of reinvigorate this Division East idea and get a mixtape going. So that's so it was pretty much all came down to her being like just reaching out to me, and that kind of got the ball rolling. If she hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't have ever made an album like this.
Wow. So what's currently in your production workstation?
Right now, it's for the most part, I'm working all in the box in Ableton. So I'm using that with a whole bunch of different plugins that I've been collecting. Um, I've got the MPC 2000, which was, like my original uh, main piece of equipment that I was using to make records on for, like a decade. But I don't think I maybe used that two or three times on the project. Um, I was using the SP404 for just a little bit of things, some effects and stuff like that. And then I was using, I've just got a bass and a guitar. I put a lot of guitar work on a lot of the songs on the album um, to kind of sub in for some samples. And, but besides that, yeah, everything was just mostly samples and running them through different samplers on Reason. I mean, not Reason, Ableton. And so, yeah, it was, you know, 80 to 90% done on the Ableton.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you got two songs on there with the late Tame One, Nugget Your Watch and Detox the Ghetto. How old are those verses and what was it like working with Tame?
Tame's amazing to work with. Uh, my relationship with him goes back, 15 years to when I first started working with Division East. Uh, he was there and was friends with Dave Dowd, who owned the skate shop, Division East. They were in the graffiti world together. And when we started doing the record label, The Tame One project that we did called The Grudge was one of the first things we started working on. And so I was I was, a really young dude at the time, and he was someone that I'd always looked up to, being, a local, a legend that had been doing things in so many different lanes for so long. Um, and getting to know him was awesome. Really cool dude, and it, just over a period of years, we'd collaborated on a lot of different uh, things, verses, tracks, and stuff like that. The Grudge album, and then several of the mixtapes. Um, and those verses that uh, came onto the album, Midnight Geometry, we're going back to probably around 2015 or so. We had started to come up with an idea of doing a sequel to his Grudge, and we did a couple sessions, but they kind of sat on the back burner for a while. And when I started doing this project, uh, I knew that I had those, and I wanted to make sure they got put out in some media. And it seemed like a good time and place to put that out. I started working on those before he passed away, which was really sad. So, but that, I mean, that was a big loss, and that made me even more serious about making sure that I, to the best of my ability, made two productions that would do justice to him uh, in the long run. So it was. I'm very honored to have gotten to work with him and to have been able to have his voice on this record.
Um, Leading up to this interview, you mentioned that you are a farmer.
Yeah,
Please
I
expound. Tell me what do you do? What do you farm? What's that like?
man. So I mean, farmers being generous. I am learning as I go along. During the pandemic, I it's something that I was wanting to do for a while. I wanted to get out of the city. I wanted to just kind of live a different kind of life, and I like the outdoors. And I found an affordable piece of land in upstate New York, and I just kind of blindly jumped in. I've been here about 2 years. I have 2 acres of blueberries, which is kind of like my main crop, and been trying to figure out ways to monetize everything better. And I'm raising goats. I got about 4 goats. They're pregnant now for the first time, so I'm nervously waiting for the birth of baby goats, which is something I've never experienced before. I've got a whole lot of chickens, maybe about 30 chickens, and 2 pigs, and some ducks. And I have no idea what I'm doing. and I make a lot of mistakes, and I failed a lot of things, but every time it's just, building up my foundation, and I'm learning a little bit more every day. It's a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work and a lot of anxiety. But I'm really enjoying it. Like I did my city thing for years and years, and this is kind of like a cool new different wave I'm riding. Been enjoying it quite a bit.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, man, it is actually, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Okay, who spit your favorite verse on Midnight Geometry?
Man, that's tough. It's like trying to pick like your favorite child. You just uh, you want to say you like them all uh, equally, but the one that I go back to the most maybe is, man, both of I mean, so Googie and Young Daddy on the song would be what I call it, the Matter. Um, both of them just kind of really worked it in. Uh, I like that track almost the most. And Young Daddy's verse on there, I think, is just wild, and really enjoy listening to it. Both of them killed it, but if I was gonna have to on the cuff say which one was my favorite, maybe the Young Daddy verse on Matter. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Last question.
Sure.
Who is the Midnight Geometry album made for?
I mean, first and foremost, I think it was made for me, like it's uh trying to make the music that I want to hear, is ultimately my goal, like uh when I'm sitting down making things, I don't really have like an audience in mind. You obviously hope that everyone's going to enjoy it and that you do a little something that it's, you cast a wide enough net that there's something appealing to, you know, a lot of people. But you know, when I was playing things back and, listening to things in the car, just kind of like, you know, testing it out, seeing, what needed to be worked on, how the mix was going. I mean, ultimately, it was, and especially that it wasn't something that I was rapping on. It was, focused on, you know, getting to hear rappers that I already really enjoyed, and then getting to have the opportunity to work the sounds around them in a way that I personally enjoyed. Was a lot of fun, and just ultimately it was cool to be able to uh, be the deciding factor in how the sound ended up, and uh, I was happy with it. So it was mostly made for me, I think, and then I get to share it with everybody else, and hopefully they like it as much as I did.
Dope. All right. Shape, thank you for joining the realhiphop.com.
Man, thank you very much for talking to me. I appreciate it.
All right, man. You're welcome.
All right, cool, man.
All right,
Enjoy
man.
the rest of your day.
You too. Peace.
All right, peace.
I don't want the limelight, I just wanna shine bright. Me and mine is looking like we about to bring the night right. You niggas is not shy, I need y'all to fall back. Thinking you can see me, must be fucking with your eyesight. I'm not the one to play with, I ain't your little friend. I ain't the nigga you stay with, you gon' have to comprehend. Give me time and if a chance, you have the ears to land.